All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, episode 152, the greatest show on Mondays, and we are back with a full panel for this evening. We have a lot of cool things to talk about. We got a couple of the Multiverse core just kind of sitting in. We got a lot of stuff, man. I'm really excited. Just like, man, we got a lot of stuff blowing in right now. All right, so do kick off as we normally do. First off, we have the Titan of Texas. Shut up, Dizzy. Mr. Fame Entertainment.
Yo, I'm about to be long-winded, but what's going on, guys? Fame Entertainment here from the Double XP Podcast. And welcome to the Multiverse Show, the greatest show on a Monday. And even though this is a Multiverse Show, when I look at the panel, the Double XP Podcast, and one of its original members, one of its current members, and the host has taken over the Multiverse today. And it's super exciting. I'm super happy, man, to be with my guy, my Multiverse Bros, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And, yeah, buddy.
All right, and we also have the White Wolf himself, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Yeah, you know I'm going to be here. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. It's it's going to be mighty interesting. It was looking to be a run-of-the-mill, ordinary day, a couple blips here and there, real dry. We've had a real dry couple of news weeks, and then bam, Phil Spencer came out with some big stuff. So you know we're going to go over that. Good to be here, peeps.
And we have the Lord of Lightning, Mr. Demigod, gracing us with his presence again.
Howdy, howdy. Glad to be here. Let's talk some gaming.
All right, and we also have the Duke of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Mr. I Dizzy from BlogNet over here.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly like that whole Texas beginning, and then it kicked over to Fame. But, you know, not only is Double XP taking over, but Texas is taking over the whole gaming scene.
It works in more ways than one. So, all right, we got a lot to talk about. But first, the question we ask every single week, what have you guys been playing? Let's start off with Dizzy. What have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing actually a little bit of Borderlands 3. I didn't get to play it whenever it first released. So a little bit of Borderlands 3. I've been dabbling a little bit here and there with Division 2, thinking that everybody has been talking about buying it, but when I hop on, everybody who said they bought it, I never see them on it. So, and then aside from that, just a little bit of Switch games, multiple different titles here and there with my son. So,
nice. All right, Demi, what you been playing, sir?
Overwatch, Fighters, Overwatch.
Yeah, you repping that Ash gang?
Of course, Gold Guns.
Excellent. All right, and we have Sam. What you been playing, sir?
Honestly, with how heavy work has been, not that much. I've been maxing out the Gears 5 Operation 2 ranks. I'm only like 7, maybe 8 ranks away from getting all the cosmetics, so I've almost maxed out this Tour of Duty. Really happy about that. But beyond that, I haven't really had time to play much.
All right, and Fame?
You know, I finally got around to play this amazing title called Children of Morta. I don't know what took me so long. The game is freaking amazing, man. I'm absolutely in love. Like, as soon as the podcast is over, I'm literally hopping right back on that game. So much fun. I definitely recommend it.
All right. And me, I haven't been playing all that much, honestly. It's been pretty quiet here. Really just haven't really had a chance to really play anything. It's been a busy week. Hopefully it'll calm down after a little bit. So, all right. So,
see, that's where things like a Switch or the Project X Cloud come into handy. So that when you're at work in that downtime, you just put it under the desk and pretend like you're working on something, right?
What downtime?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But yeah, what downtime are you talking about?
All right. So we got a couple things we got to discuss. So first, we got to pay the bills. Admittedly, our view count's been down lately. The coffers are running a little low, so we kind of had to scrape the bottom of the barrel this week. Sam, who's our corporate shill moment for the week?
Yeah, so I just want you all to know that it brings me no great pleasure to talk about our sponsor this week, even though our sponsor brings great pleasure this week. It's funny how things work that way. But the Multiverse corporate shill sponsor this week is none other than the Passiflora in Novigrad. If you are looking to get down low or go up high, they've got a dame for you. if you've been on the road and your legs are weary, or maybe you're just looking to duck out of the house for a little bit, bored out of your mind, they've got a dame for you. There's elves, dwarves, regular women, doesn't matter. The Passiflora has someone there just to make sure that you pay, because there's some card sharks there, and the swords aren't just for looks.
Yeah.
Pay your bills, people. Pay your bills.
You know what they say, come for the girls, stay for the Gwent.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever pass on a round of Gwent? I think not.
Mm-hmm. All right, so topics. We got so much to talk about, man. All right, let's start off with the thing that's been sweeping the world, plaguing the games industry and the regular world at large. The coronavirus has struck again. This time, not just Sony will be bowing out of going to PAX and other events this year, at least until later, until things kind of calm down. We actually had a couple new groups kind of come out and announce. Originally, when we planned this segment, the only other group that I had heard that was bowing out was Kojima's studio. Was going to be bowing out from going to PAX and these other events. But actually, since then, we've had another announcement. Capcom will not be going to any events so far until things calm down a bit, which is, man, this is getting kind of crazy.
Very. And I heard it was just specifically the Monster Hunter team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't want to travel anywhere. Very interesting. I think people know something that we don't know.
Yeah. Like, I can understand people coming from Asia to the United States being like, we don't want to spread it. We don't want to get involved there. But like, I don't understand for like some of these larger studios where they have U.S. branches or other places that are even nearby. Like, why don't they show up for that per se? But,
yeah, and so, which is why I actually have to step in and correct some misinformation going around. Capcom's U.S. branch is still going to PAX East. I need to correct that. There are some headlines going around saying Capcom completely pulled out. Those are inaccurate. Capcom is no longer flying in the Japanese developers to do the autograph session and the panel talk on Monster Hunter World Iceborne. They're going to replace it with some sort of streamed session instead. But the U.S. developers are still being flown in.
Yeah, which is my issue with Sony. A lot of people want to give me flack for this, but when you go to these conventions, unless you're a smaller indie or a rare occasion, you'll get the big guns like I have a developer out there. Usually when Sony and Microsoft is there, they have a big booth. It'll say Sony, and you'll have a bunch of guys who are getting paid to work the booth. You have usually one, if you're lucky, two PR people there. That's it. So for them to completely pull out, and they have people here, branches here that put this stuff together, put this stuff up. You could easily still put the booth together with the game, with The Last of Us 2 playable, and you won't need anyone from Japan or overseas to do it. Because that's how these conventions work. They got a bunch of people with Sony shirts on, just standing around, one or two PR people, and that's it. Get in line, play the game, and leave. So that's my flag with Sony completely pulling out, because they could still be there with The Last of Us 2, and they can go without a hitch. So it makes no sense for them to pull out.
Yeah. Or more specifically, like, okay, well, I'll wait for a little bit. I'll let you guys get involved here. Dizzy, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I get the whole scare thing, but I mean, the bottom line is whenever you go to a convention, it's notorious for when you go to these, somebody is probably coming back, and they're probably coming back sick.
The con crud, as it is.
Pretty much. So, I mean, that's always going to be, a risk, even without the whole coronavirus and being involved. I'm kind of like on the fence about like how I feel about the situation. I do respect, wanting to protect your employees. I kind of agree with what Fame is saying here, because I mean, it's true. Here locally, we have a convention called Retropalooza, and Sony showed up the last 3 years. But Sony hasn't showed up because it's not the PR team. It's people that they're hiring to sit at these booths, man these booths, because you could go up there, ask them anything, and they're like, oh, I don't really work for Sony. I'm just here helping man this. So and especially with something like The Last of Us 2, being that it is US based, being out of Santa Monica, that one kind of strikes me a little bit odd. But I mean, people come into these conventions from all over the world. You don't really know where they've been. We all know the whole foul stench that you get when you go to a lot of these conventions. So, you know, half these people, it's almost like, are they even washing their hands when they go to the bathroom? So I'm kind of like on the fence. Like, I feel like that there's things that they could be doing in place of it if they are going to be pulling out. I didn't know that Capcom was going to be doing the stream, and I respect that. I think that's, you know, if you are going to pull out, you should probably find something to do as an alternative, and especially if you announce that, hey, we're going to hundreds of different conventions this year, and then pretty much all the conventions that are popping up you're pulling out of. Yeah, it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
Pull out game strong, baby.
But I know it's going to be this kind of podcast talking about pulling out. My goodness.
Yeah, I just so much of this stuff is just so weird to me. Like I don't. Well, so I do understand about not bringing the people over from over in Japan and over in that area. I get that, but it's like also too, especially on Sony's side, why is there not like a digital event or something? Like if we're really that concerned, give us something. Like if you're gonna pull out, I mean, something's better than nothing. Especially if it's just even like a demo or even like a video of a demo. Something.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into this because that would require speculation about what Sony's internal PR and like setup looks like in terms of who can do what. I'll just say this. I understand completely not letting any of the Japanese developers in, having them on lockdown. Totally get it. They're very paranoid about the virus spreading further from Asia. I get that. That's fine. I really wish they had the setup in place that Naughty Dog could still have their booth. That would have been nice. Even if that was literally all it was. Just, hey, it's not even the PlayStation booth, it's the Naughty Dog booth. And we're the only ones there. That would have been cool. It's really a shame because this is...
That. I mean, when you think about what they did with Days Gone last year, you walk into the PAX, you see a big thing that says Days Gone. It's just Days Gone. There's no developers there. It's just a bunch of people who are hired to man the booth with PlayStations already with the Days Gone demo inside of it. That's it. You can get a team of 12 to do that. I mean, that's nothing. That's why I'm so like really confused on why you completely pull out when it doesn't take, I'm not saying it takes nothing to do it, but it doesn't take, in the grand scheme of things, a lot to set up a booth that says Last of Us, just like you did with Days Gone, and still be there.
It's weird. It's absolutely weird. I don't know what's going on there. It's a shame. This is twice now that Naughty Dog's basically been screwed over. First time was with the whole media preview and then announcing the release date, and then a couple of weeks later it got delayed. Now they announced this, and then a week later it turns out they're not going to PAX. So I'm sorry, Naughty Dog. I feel bad for you. Third time should be a charm, hopefully.
I feel like they should just drop a demo on PSN.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
That is a great way to get your game completely data mined and leaked.
But isn't it also kind of odd, though, because they're still going to have booths there and demos of games that aren't even released yet, but they're not allowing The Last of Us to be one of them.
Yeah.
Well, no. Yeah, it's weird. Like I said, it's weird. I hope the coronavirus burns through quickly and gets out. I really do, because it's delaying and messing up a lot of stuff.
I'm sorry. So at this point, so we're going to assume that Tokyo Game Show is canceled?
No.
Didn't they say that's still on track?
I doubt it.
That's still on track. And the other thing on top of that is it is based on current trajectories. It is very unlikely that the virus won't mostly be over by then in terms of coming through. Mm-hmm. Very unlikely. It would take something radical changing for it to still be going on at the rate it's going on right now.
Yeah.
By then. Mm-hmm. Which is the same reason it is very unlikely that next-gen consoles will be delayed.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing about it, though, is...
they get that first batch of pre-orders.
Yeah. So they may have limited supply initially, but it's not going to do anything.
Right. There might be less units available. Sure.
Yeah.
That's completely possible.
Yeah. So... speaking of actually next-gen consoles, I believe we had a confirmed leak. I will say before we even get started, our friends over at Windows Central had a credible source back in December about the Xbox Series X specs, and actually they were completely right. And Phil Spencer came out and confirmed it. So Sam, take over for us, sir. Walk us through the deluge of news.
Okay, so the nutshell version of what happened is that back in December, we didn't know it was called Series X then because the Game Awards hadn't happened yet. But my boss, Jez Corden, who's the senior Xbox editor at Windows Central, said that Anaconda, the upper end SKU of the Project Scarlet, again, that's what it was known at the time, we didn't have the name, was going to be 12 teraflops based on RDNA 2 technology with Zen 2 CPU tech as well. And Phil Spencer just randomly came out today and confirmed that that was the case in a new post. We didn't actually know officially, insert your own air quotes there, how powerful the Series X was, but now we know. It perfectly matches up with Jez's sources and the report that he put out. And then Phil Spencer actually, on top of the raw technical power, detailed a couple of other really cool things. And one of these is a feature called Smart Delivery that the system will be using. And it's something we had kind of theorized was going to happen, but this is them putting it to a name and actually 100% confirming it's happening. Smart delivery on Series X is the concept that you buy one Microsoft game, that's it. You get all the enhancements. There's not going to be any remasters moving forward for Xbox. Buy Halo Infinite on Xbox One, you're going to get all the Series X upgrades. I highly suspect Gears 5 and Forza Horizon 4 maybe would be games as well that you get the Series X upgrades for free just by buying the Xbox One game. That stuff comes naturally. They did not say third parties were required to support it. However, in what had to have been coordinated marketing, there's no way this wasn't talked about. CD Projekt Red, just minutes after Phil made his post, came out and confirmed, yep, we're on board with this. Cyberpunk 2077 will get a free upgrade on Series X. Xbox One owners don't have to pay for it. Which is really, really cool. With CD Projekt Red, arguably one of the top developers in the world, working on one of the most anticipated games in the world, jumping on like that, it sets a precedent for other third parties to follow. And that's really, really exciting stuff.
I was talking to Anchor a little bit before the chat. Just imagine the amount of pressure that something like CD Projekt Red actually putting the pressure on all of these other studios and publishers to not opt out of it.
Exactly.
It's an opt-in kind of situation. And I kind of got to point out that this is different from like your remakes. Okay, so this isn't like a Resident Evil 2 situation where you have a remake. And I've been seeing a lot of people talking about like, oh, well, Sony's had this with, I believe they call it like cross-buy or something like that, or the whole play anywhere. It's different because this is a generational difference. We're talking about Grand Theft Auto 5 on the old generation versus Grand Theft Auto 5 on this generation. Or let's say The Last of Us on the PS3 versus The Last of Us being re-enhanced and then resold again on the PS4.
Exactly.
So that's what they're trying to eliminate.
That's exactly why I said we've... Go ahead, Faye. Go ahead.
No, so one of the big keys is when you think about it, when you look at stuff like crossplay, a lot of people will say, oh, it really took a big publisher, a big developer like Activision. Like, all right, we're doing crossplay, and then everyone is, all right, now we on board because the big boy is doing it. So when you get someone like CD Projekt Red from the very jump says, hey, we're on board with this, it's going to incentivize a lot of developers to jump on board, because sometimes it takes a big developer or a big publisher to jump on board with something like this, and then everyone's going to follow suit.
Yeah, especially this last generation where we've had so many remakes. Like, I'd be very concerned for a couple of studios in particular where it's like, okay, we've had, what was it? Fame can attest, I've been complaining this entire generation about how many remakes we've gotten. Like, it's been a consistent thing. Because I kept saying this before, I was so concerned because every time when people went out and bought another remake, you were basically saying it was okay for people to put time and resources to remaster an old game, especially the games that came out just a few years prior, like not even that long ago. Like, yeah. Okay, like that was a problem I had with like Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs didn't need a remake. Like, it came out like 2 years beforehand. Like, there was no reason for it to exist. Like, I understood, like, at the time, like, oh yeah, Last of Us getting one because it came out right at the end, or Grand Theft Auto 5. But now, those games have no excuses anymore. It's like, okay,
Right, exactly.
CD Projekt Red's doing it. Like, okay, literally every game that came out, basically this entire generation, you have no reason for you to just slap a remake on it and say, oh, here it is, when
exactly
you just update it.
And on top of that, and again, to be clear, remake versus remaster, I have no issue still with something like Capcom, remaking Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3.
Like a 20-year-old game or 10-year-old game, sure.
Yeah. If a Knights of the Old Republic remake is ever announced, that's totally fine. Something like that is perfectly fine. But this is like, no, this sets precedent and it applies pressure. And I really, really appreciate that. This says, no, one of the top dogs in the industry is doing this. Time to knock it off. I'm sure there's still going to be one or two publishers that try to pull some nonsense, but I think as a general rule of thumb, overall, most everybody on Xbox and PlayStation is basically just going to go, yeah, free upgrades. Kids growing up today have been conditioned with the idea of, 1X patches or PS4 Pro enhancements for free. Yep. They're not used to paying for that. They're not going to like having to pay for that. And I think most publishers, especially the ones with games as a service games, understand that. Ubisoft, again, plug a report to Windows Central, confirmed that, Rainbow Six Siege is going to get PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X upgrades. They're not going to sell a new version of that game. Why would they? That's stupid. You split the player base. Just upgrade it for those who upgrade their consoles and keep on rolling.
I just had a thought. Is this the plan for Last of Us Part 2?
Go on.
So, if that is the case, and they don't try to pull any shystiness with Last of Us Part 2, where they announce it, it comes out on PlayStation 4, and they want you to buy another copy for PlayStation 5, what if that's what the multiplayer thing was? Where it's like, okay, well, the PlayStation 4 doesn't have multiplayer, but whatever, they're going to relaunch it on PlayStation 5 with multiplayer.
Totally fine. I am totally fine with that. That it makes perfect sense because it goes beyond the next gen upgrades are going to go beyond just resolution and frame rate. They're going to include better textures. They're going to include ray tracing. Why not include new mode? Why not? Makes perfect sense. You're not taking anything away from someone who bought the game on PS4 or Xbox One. They got what they paid for. But someone who goes to next gen might get a little more. Totally fine with that. I like your style of thinking, Ivan.
I mean, that's the only way I can think of justifying making someone pay for it again. Is it like, oh yeah, here's the other half of the game people anticipated. But
all right, that's a stretch with this kind of game, and
Yeah, with this game, yes, but people were anticipating multiplayer initially, and it's not there. So,
as long as I don't have to pay $10 again to go from 360 Destiny to Xbox One Destiny, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's stupid? I've actually seen people around on Twitter going like, wait, when did people pay for upgrades? I'm like, dude, we paid for upgrades like literally just a few years ago, and plenty of people did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have any idea how many people I know that paid to upgrade their Grand Theft Auto accounts for just
the heist?
Exactly.
Just
like, just stop it. People have been paying, clearly. This is a huge precedent to pretend. The CD Projekt Red tweet with that news has like 15,000 retweets and over 100,000 likes. Don't try to tell me this isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it absolutely is.
It's a huge pro-consumer move. Like, there's no reason for anyone to say, oh, this is a bad idea. No. This is not... I can't think of anybody saying it's a bad idea. Like, any legitimate criticism.
I just love the pressure it's going to be putting on those companies that are notorious for nickel and diming their consumers. So, hats off to CD Projekt Red for that.
Yeah.
I just hope next gen doesn't get that influx of remasters again.
Yeah, not again. See,
I think this will prevent that. It won't be an influx of remasters. There's just going to be a lot of, hey, while you wait on our next game, try out our older game but with new features. I think that's different. That's fine. That's not quite the same thing.
Because I don't want to see Saints Row remastered for like the 4th time. Like, just pushed again. God.
Are you alluding to the eventual Skyrim port?
Skyrim is a treasure. All generations must play. $60 buy-in, of course.
Or the eventual RE4 port.
Oh, God.
God.
As a general rule, when it comes to like them, ports, but remasters in general, I always follow the 10-year rule. If it's 10 years old or more, go right ahead. Like, we've had enough technical advancement in that time frame where it's like it's worth doing. But
so are we buying Skyrim again if it comes to PS5 and Xbox Series X? Are we getting it one more time?
If it has co-op.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
I know. If it had co-op, I'd think about it. And otherwise, no. Just straight no. I'd be like, maybe. Anyway, moving on a little bit. So also, too, we kind of hinted at this a little bit. Guys, we're at the end of February. For a bit of context here, last generation in 2013, Sony had already had a conference announcing the PlayStation 4 with details and game previews and such. Which, honestly, there's been this thing about Sony's being really, really quiet. And to an extent that is true, but we know a pretty good amount about the PlayStation 5 about at the same point in time. It's just there was no actual event for it.
Right. To be fair, they did do a couple of Wired interviews last year, which gave us some detail.
But like the PlayStation 4, though, yes, they had an event, but all we had was just BS about like, oh, look at how many floating particles we have, like 1 billion particles. Like, to most people, we don't know or care what this is at all. They didn't show off the box. They didn't give us a price. They didn't give us a time frame for a release date. And we got a name, and that was pretty much it. Like, we really didn't have very much in that event, but they did show off a couple of games, notably Deep Down, which still has not been released. And I remind everyone of this because I remember very fondly that people were saying this is the game for PlayStation. This is it. This and the Order 1886, both of which I like the Order 1886, which means I must like Deep Down, but we'll find out if that ever exists again. Anyway, moving on from that little side topic. So Sony has been fairly quiet, at least in terms of this, and Xbox has really been pumping it up lately. Like, every little thing, they make a big PR announcement. Like today, like just saying, oh yeah, the rumors were true, and here's some more. But with Sony, it's been really, really quiet. People are getting pretty pissed off, honestly. And especially with all the announcements of just them quitting and leaving and not coming to certain events. It's kind of peeving people off. So I kind of want to ask the panel here, just being honestly thinking of yourself now and then 6 months down the line, does this bother you at all? Does this like make you think about anything else regarding Sony, or do you think this is just a situation where everyone's just too hyped for it and they're not willing to just wait for the news to come out naturally?
Well, to be honest, I think it's a culmination of a couple of things. I mean, I think that what Microsoft is doing is actually catching them off guard. So trying to really find a good way to counterbalance something like that. But also, I mean, their brand recognition, they're very well aware of that. As we've seen with the single Instagram post of that amazing logo. That aside, I mean, going back to the whole coronavirus, I mean, really with not knowing the grasp in this sickness and how it's going to affect them down the line, especially when it comes to production, you don't want to kind of get ahead of yourselves if you don't know if you're going to be able to push out the things that you want to push out, especially in regards towards launching this thing on time. To me, I'm actually curious if eventually, if any of these companies are going to actually move where their production's being done, like Apple has. Apple moved their production out of China into Taiwan because of this reason. So I think it's kind of a culmination of both of those, and really right now they just need to get their bearings underneath their feet.
Fame, I feel like you might have some things to say about this. But, I have been wrong before. So, okay. With that in mind, here's what I'm going to say. The fact of the matter is, I'm not concerned. Again, insert your own air quotes there. I am, however, starting to be a little confused. You're basically just allowing Xbox to take cheap shots at you at this point. Even if PlayStation 5 will obviously have features like, the same cross-gen compatibility of what Xbox is calling smart delivery, even if they have the same thing. Right now, people don't know that. Right now, your average, little Timmy doesn't know that. All little Timmy knows is that Xbox has it. So I'm a little confused as to why they aren't just pumping out the messaging. I understand coronavirus might be delaying events or delaying appearances or whatever. That's perfectly fine. But you can still put out an interview in Wired. We could get another Wired article. I'd like to get another one. Maybe we get another one tomorrow. It's another random Tuesday of the month, for all we know.
Here's the thing, Sam. Sony can put out a tweet with the letter H, and people are going to say, "Oh, that is the greatest tweet of all time." They don't have to. I mean, yeah, it'd be smart for them to come out and make noise and announce some things. But I don't think they have to, because they got everyone's mind so warped that them not saying nothing is the smartest move of all time.
Yeah, well, you're right in that they're the brand leader right now. And so they've got
mind warped to think that doing nothing is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I still think, and I could be completely wrong, I just still think that when they initially was talking about, the most fastest console and yada, 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 I think that they're kind of maybe changing their angle. Because Sony, they're tacticians. They were tacticians all gen, this gen, taking pod shots at Microsoft whenever they could. Microsoft is now on the other end, taking that little pod shots here and there. I think Sony is likely, I could be wrong, right, as usual, but they're probably, changing course on how they want to go at this. And at the end of the day, like I said, they have the mind share, so no matter what they do or what they say, everyone's going to think it's the best possible move in the world.
Yeah.
That's certainly possible. There's definitely more expectation for Xbox to speak. I get that. And also, it is just February. We have more months in the year. I get that. I definitely do think that if we don't hear anything, I thought it would be weird if we didn't hear anything from Sony by the end of February. If we don't hear anything by the end of March, things have gotten outright weird.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say about it.
March will be the deciding factor. Like, okay, is this just like a PR decision, or is there really a problem? Like,
I don't mean much either. I just mean anything.
Yeah, like they don't.
Anything.
They don't have to go into a power fight with Microsoft. So I mean, if their console is not as powerful, which a lot of people expect it to be, they don't need it to be. As long as they continue to have these highly rated, highly anticipated video games, no one's going to care. So, yeah, Microsoft come out and they say, 12 teraflops, yada, yada, yada. Sony can just come out and announce their console and move forward, and people just aren't going to care about the power difference as long as they continue to provide them with these highly rated, highly anticipated games. So just announce the freaking console, show it. They're not... It's not like they're gaining anything from holding it back. They have nothing else to gain. They are the market share. They have the mind share. They are the leader. Only thing they can do is continue on the path they're on, and they're going to do fine.
They're probably going to do a state of play and call it one. That's what I'm expecting. Like, since they're pulling out places and not saying much, we're going to get a state of play probably this week or next week, and they're going to kick things off.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I'm interested to see how this is all going to play out. Like, in the back of my mind, I keep sitting back and thinking, like, this announcement for the Series X today was a contingency plan for Sony announcing their stuff. It was a way, because it was, okay, originally, when this was a brief history lesson without any spin or BS, because 2013, as we all know here, has been completely bastardized to the point where no one really knows what happened anymore. In terms of the actual
Xbox
timeline.
is the new water cooler.
Yeah, but with them, with Sony and all the rest of them, when they came out, Xbox would go out and announce something. Well, sorry, Sony preempted them and announced something in February of 2013. So it looked like they were scrambling till their event, and was it like April or June when when Xbox One had their event?
I think it was April or May, something like that. Yeah,
it was something late. It was really close to E3 though. That was the big thing. It was really close to E3. Except I had jury duty. And what happened on that front was that it made Xbox look like they were always responding to what Sony was doing. And then the one time that Xbox went first and had a chance, Sony had an opportunity to do the mic drop moment at E3, as we all know. That was a big thing in 2013, and we all knew about it. However, Xbox kind of figured it out in like 2016, where they decided, okay, with the Xbox One X, we're going to preempt everybody. Where it was when we heard rumors about the PlayStation 4 Pro, they said, nah, Scorpio exists. It's going to be out here next year. Here's the power. Bam. Knowing that the leaked amount for the Pro was weaker than them, and they capitalized on it. And so every opportunity Sony would come out and say something, Xbox would come out and say, here's what we're doing instead. Or here's what we're doing better. And they've been doing this mantra the entire 2 years since it came out. So, like, okay, every time they would say, the most recent one that comes to mind was they said, oh yeah, Untitled Goose Game is coming out to PlayStation 4 Pro on Twitter, on an Xbox Game Pass account. And it's coming to Game Pass same day for free. It's like completely shuts that down. And they've been doing this ever since. And this time, I feel like what happened was that they announced their thing in December. It completely caught everybody off guard. Nobody was expecting an Xbox announcement of any like magnitude at the Game Awards. And so this time was like, okay, we're expecting Sony to say something by February. We're at the end of February, and normally if you have good news to announce, you normally announce at the beginning half of the week. So it has longer media playtime. However, they didn't announce anything today. So I felt like, well, it's the end of the month. Let's go ahead and use our news. Because this is pretty big news, honestly. This was pretty big stuff.
True.
I feel like this was a counterpunch that they didn't need a counterpunch because there was no punch coming at them to begin with.
You know, the best part about this, and I tweeted this out earlier, Anchor, the best part about the news drop today is it's a nugget. It's a big nugget, but it's just a nugget. There's still a bunch of, specs to be revealed, features to be revealed, games to be revealed. It's just a nugget. That's the best part about today is that we still have so much more to look forward to as far as news with this console. So they got so much they can just sit on. Now that Sony is delaying, they can just sit, okay, we put this out, we'll wait. Oh, okay, now we can put this out. Oh, they announced this game? All right, this is what, let's hear a leak that we're going to see, Playground's new game with E3, or the Initiative's new game will be Sony, whatever case may be. It's so much to look forward to. That's the best part about today is that there's so much left to know and to find out, which is amazing.
And I think it's, unless Dizzy has something to say, I have a counterpoint to that too.
I think you're onto something there, Fame. And I think that this has actually been something that's been going on for quite some time because we know, obviously, that the developers for Xbox Game Studios, 15 developers, as pointed out, are working on stuff. And what they did back at XO is they revealed a couple of the smaller titles, but they didn't reveal too much of it. So there's still stuff in these games that are holding you over as the news goes on. So it doesn't make it feel like it's something so long-winded as we're getting with this long-winded silence out of Sony. And what's also crazy is we know the games that Sony has, and I mean, they still have to market The Last of Us 2. They still have to market Ghost of Tsushima, you know, amongst other games that they still have coming out, you know, the rest of these years. So not even talking about those is also kind of odd to me.
Yeah,
I think with The Last of Us...
You're hitting...
Sorry, can I just say this?
Sure, go ahead.
I think with The Last of Us Part 2, you don't really have to. That name is going to market the bejesus out of itself. Now, with Ghost of Tsushima and some of the others, yes, you're right.
Yeah. See,
that's
the part you're hinting on. What I was getting at there was that with Sony, well, sorry, with Microsoft, I mean, this generation's over. There's barely anything coming out for, at least in terms of the third party lineup that we know about. Or not third party, sorry, the first party lineup that we know about. I mean, we got Ori. We got Wasteland 3, Bleeding Edge, but these are games that are not like huge system seller games per se. Instead, these are games that were like, all right, cool, this is gonna be great. I'll play it for now, but it's gonna be better on the Series X when I get that in the holiday season. Like it doesn't feel like it's like this is like okay, this is stuff to tide you over until the next gen. But like with Sony, it feels like, okay, we announced most of these games in 2016. And we're 4 years later, and we're still waiting to finish the generation. And yeah, we're going to finish up strong, but it's really hard. Like, if you go out and announce a bunch of new games that are going to come out for the next gen, it can cannibalize hype for other titles that people have known about for 4 years now. And like, Last of Us kind of being the exception of this.
Possible.
But it's like, I don't care about the Ghost of Tsushima at all because it's been forever, and I've known about this game for a long time, and I still don't care. And if they come out at E3 or not E3 because they're not going to E3, if they come out and say, "Yeah, here's new game, because like as most places typically do at the beginning of a generation, I'm just not. I can't keep my excitement for the stuff that's coming up now.
I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar, like that. And Microsoft and Phil has been doing this like little stuff here and there. Like when he went and got a picture taken of him playing the Initiatives game. Like they're putting out little stuff here and there to show you, okay, you know, the stuff is moving and stuff is getting progressed. I bet my bottom dollar they're gonna unload. We're gonna get Initiatives. You know, a trailer for them. We're going to get Playgrounds. We're going to get the other game that's not grounded that Obsidian is working on. They are going to unload here sometime at E3 and say, "Hey, this is what's coming next gen."
Exactly. They're building up to that.
Are you telling me I have to get ready for the Vince McMahon meme? It's like one thing after another.
And when you think about it, Sony has they're going to end this generation great, right? With a bunch of big titles. But now those same developers are going to need time for their next game. Microsoft developers, for the most part, have been sitting in a wait, making their games already, prepping them for next gen when it comes to, you know, Hellblade 2, the Initiatives game, Obsidian's game that's not grounded. They're just sitting in the ways, working on those games, being patient, and going to release them next gen. So they're going to unload this year and get you guys ready for Series X.
Yeah, basically, and that is another thing that I think is sort of an interesting problem with whatever form Sony's reveal takes. If it's a meeting, if it's a big press event blowout, if it's a state of play, I don't care. The point is, it's an interesting problem that they have to tackle, which is, aside from Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which will be out next year, quite reasonably, that game aside, none of them are going to be ready for a while. And that's a very interesting problem where it's like, okay, are we really going to do this again? Where we announce a bunch of games that don't come out for 5 years?
They're going to have to, because those, like you said, other than Horizon Zero Dawn 2, everyone's still going to be, you know, 40-50% into whatever game they're working on next. They're going to need a lot of time. And this is where the timing kind of works in Microsoft's favor, because their developers are going to be ready within the next, next year after, they're going to be ready to be, at full throttle.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This will be interesting. Because the one thing we always want people, our manufacturers and the publishers to do is pace their games out. Because it feels like with Sony, what they do is they just backload all their stuff. And so it's like, yeah, here's a couple titles we'll be getting. Wait 2-3 years, and then you'll start getting a couple more games, and then all of a sudden you're gonna have a deluge of games the last 2 years. And then it's like, oh yeah, next gen started. All right, cool. Just hold on, wait till we get everything ready again. And it's gonna be interesting because with Microsoft, yeah, they've normally been pretty spread out, but it's like long waits in between for terms of their exclusives. With the exceptions of Forza, always lots of Forza.
Forza.
Yeah, but with Microsoft too, it'll be interesting to see if they kind of change that mindset and front load the generation. It'd be like, here's a game, bam, 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 all in the first 2 to 3 years. It'd be really interesting to see that and say, all right, cool, just hold up for next gen. We got another slate coming out right at the beginning. Just be ready. But it's interesting to see.
I do hope they do learn their lesson from just always dropping things off in the fall and only that time period. I've always hoped that Microsoft has learned from that, and I do hope they stretch their games out certain time periods so people can play it at certain times. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see from Microsoft the most. Front load it, give us what you got, because you have everything to gain from this generation coming up.
Yeah. All right. Sam, did we miss anything? There's a lot of news that came out today. So.
Yeah, I think we basically got everything. It's very interesting. Stuff continues. There's not been that much other big news, though. That's pretty much all the stuff that came out. If you want an interesting thing, if you care about Call of Duty, the Battle Royale mode clearly exists for Modern Warfare.
Ugh.
It obviously does exist, the Warzone mode, but Activision still won't announce it, and they've now issued a subpoena to Reddit for Reddit to hand over the personal details of one of the users who leaked a promotional image.
Ugh.
So I have no idea how that's going to end. That's just a little tidbit to give you close on.
As a COD player, I'm very disappointed in Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's great in terms of gameplay, but they're adding stuff in that isn't Modern Warfare.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know what you meant at first. Because I love the campaign. Campaign is probably my favorite in a long time. But I gotcha.
Modern Warfare is my first Call of Duty, and seeing the things that they're adding in, and now they're putting in more that isn't there or wasn't there, it's actually kind of slapping the face to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a little interesting, funny tidbit to give you.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, Call of Duty, this is the one, well, this is not really true. I will say I've really kind of dropped off when it comes to campaigns for Call of Duty. I think the first campaign I didn't finish was Black Ops 4. I was so bored. I was just I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Oh, no, actually, that's not true. Black Ops 3. I didn't finish Black Ops 3.
Yeah, that one wasn't great.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
Which is sad because Black Ops 2 was my favorite Call of Duty. I love that game. That was the perfect blend of future, but also grounded kind of gameplay. It was okay, we're not too far in the future where it's all bullshit. But it was enough where it was okay, we can kind of mess around and have a good time with this. That was, at least Call of Duty wise, I like that one the most. And also the story was interesting, and it dealt with multiple ending options and things, which was fun. But it's been really hard for me to get into Call of Duty campaigns again. And the last one I played and actually liked was actually what was the game? Infinite Warfare. Was that it?
Yeah, that was a fair one. Yep.
I mean, it was different. It was like Space Navy. Hey, this is at least interesting. I hated the multiplayer, but it It was fun.
Yeah, multiplayer was terrible.
I would seriously recommend you, like, if it's on sale again, Ivan, which it will be at some point, give Modern Warfare a shot. I
have Modern Warfare. I have it.
Okay, but you haven't played the campaign.
I played part of the campaign.
So
and it didn't grab you?
Nope. Sorry.
Wow.
That is wild, because I have not cared about Call of Duty campaign since 2012.
I have no nostalgia feeling.
I agree with Sam there.
I have no nostalgia feeling for the Modern Warfare campaign series. Nothing.
Really? Wow.
Nothing. Okay, all right. This one's wild, even for you. This one's
This one goes all. It ramps it up.
Yeah, because I played the first one. I played like half of the second one because I didn't own Modern Warfare 2, but I borrowed it and played as long as I could.
The second to last mission. It's just, dude, the second to last mission in Modern Warfare 2019 might be my favorite Call of Duty mission ever. Yeah. There is some crazy level design, but it's all right. You do.
I'll give it a shot again. I'm logging in to see how far I am into it because I don't remember.
The night vision stuff really took it to the level for me. That is some crazy design.
I will say the best mission I played so far that I really enjoyed was the Piccadilly mission, where it really ramps up the idea of why domestic terrorism is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Like, you can't tell who's the civilian and who are the enemies, and you're running around with a handgun between the cars.
And you have to pay attention and be really onto what's going on. Oh yeah, but clean house. That's the mission I'm at. So that's, let's see, 1, 2.
Dude, you're.
That's 5.
Dude, it gets really good during that mission.
Yeah, that's not really far in. That's not really far in.
Far.
Definitely play it. Definitely play a little further, at least.
Yeah, play Clean House. Yeah, continue on Clean House. You'll love it.
Okay.
Trust me.
Gotcha. I'll play it after we finish the show. So, and speaking of finishing the show, let's do our outros here. Fane, where can people find you, sir?
Oh, I am on Twitter at Famey and T2K. Also, you guys can catch me on YouTube, Famey and T2K, every Wednesday as we do the Double XP podcast, which we will be on episode 100 tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Wednesday, which I'm super excited about, having the current cast plus the OG cast there, having my man Dizzy there, and the king of BTS, Nicodemus there. It's going to be an awesome show. But yes, follow us on Twitter and also Double XP podcast, 2XP_podcast on the Twitter. Yeah, buddy.
All right. And Dizzy, where can good people find you, sir?
Of course, you can find me on Twitter at iDizzy81. I'm, of course, across all platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, iDizzy81, just across the board, unless you want, of course, the Social Security number to Nintendo. Why they still do that is beyond me. And, of course, still working over with lordsofgaming.net, where we're putting up new articles every day, and working with the team there. They're going to be at PAX East. They are not skipping out because of the coronavirus. I do hope that they're bringing their masks and gloves.
All right. And let's take a look here. And Demi, where can people find you, sir?
Demigod Reviews on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. I'm always active, always talking games, and always sharing clips. Come chat it up. Let's do it.
All right. And Sam?
You can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's Tolbert. Come talk games, tech, movies, TV shows with me. Happy to talk, converse. And then you can find everything I do on Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore.
All right. And I'm Anchorman V2. You can find me on Xbox, PlayStation, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to find me on. It's all the same thing across the board. Except that Pornhub account is not mine. It was a Fallout 4 joke someone did back 2014, 2015.
Boy.
It's not me, I swear.
Oh, boy.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning up. It's the episode 152, greatest show on Mondays, the Multiverse Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are out of here.